Hey guys, Brandon Woolum, CCM Magazine. Today we are hanging out with Caleb Hyles. What's up, my man?
Hey, how are y'all doing? Good to see you, Brandon. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Good. So, I guess we have to start with this outfit you have on because I've looked through your stuff. I'm guessing it's not pirate themed. Why are you
No,
dressed like a pirate today?
No, you might think I maybe on my YouTube channel and stuff, maybe I'm doing a cover involving pirates or a sea shanty, of which I've done many before, or I'm in the Revolutionary War. No, my church is doing Vacation Bible School this week, and today's themed outfits was pirates. So there's this wonderful shop here in DFW that does costume rentals, and I went and got a pirate outfit. And I already owned this tunic actually because I like going to Ren fairs and stuff. So I own this, but this one costs a bit much, the hat and everything. So I literally just pulled in from dropping my kid off at daycare. And so I just didn't have a time to take off the coat. I mean, yes, I could take off the hat, but I'm enjoying the fit right now. So I'm in partial character. Yeah, that's why I'm in this garb.
Do you have competition at church? Are there other people that go this far and this extreme with their outfits for
Yes.
VBS?
Yes, I haven't started a competition with anybody, but yes, people do commit to the bit. Yesterday was sea creatures and mermaids, and we had some crazy outfits like octopus and squid, and people were crabs, lobsters walking around. So it was people really get into it, and it's super fun. I'm happy to be a part of the fantasy as well. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, well, let's start with kind of who you are. You're somebody who's got nearly 2 million YouTube subscribers, a million Spotify listing folks every month. Yeah,
Mm,
there's Christian music fans that I'm sure that are watching this, seeing your name pop up here recently, and still saying, "Who the heck is Caleb Hyles?" Tell us your
right, right.
story, man.
Sure. Yeah, I can give a little brief story. The humor is not lost on me in talking about any of this in this outfit. So I'm personally enjoying the way this is going. Yeah. So, but yeah, my YouTube channel started back when I was just a kid, actually, with me and my brother. We've been doing YouTube since it was a thing back in 2005, before it was ever owned by Google. But then it got picked up and we stuck with the platform and really enjoy just making videos and having a good time. Both my parents are very thespian like people. They were in musical theater and community theater themselves, although they did not pursue those as careers. My dad pursued radio for 40 years. He was a radio host and anchor and senior news correspondent. And my mother went into marketing. But she's the sort of the trained classical vocalist of the family. Um, and then and I was just doing YouTube for fun. Just I think we grew up around it, so we enjoyed the process, enjoyed being in front of the camera and spotlight and all of that. So it just sort of rubbed off on us. And then as time went on and tried new things, I was in sports production for 7 years in college, and then after that. And while that was going on, I was also doing YouTube. My brother was doing it too. And then I started my own channel where I sang a bunch of songs. I had a cover go viral. Viral's very different in 2014 when my cover went viral than viral is today in 2024, because it feels like there's something that goes viral every 15 minutes. But that I did a cover of a Disney song. I did the song Let It Go from Frozen, and it got a lot of traction. And so when I saw people were watching and giving it attention, I said, hey, why not try to do it? So I started doing more covers more frequently, not as infrequently, built up an audience, started a little community, and then moved into other properties, intellectual properties. So cartoons and some top 40 hits and more Disney films because there's many. And it just started coalescing and coming together over the span of like 3 to 4 years. Had an audience and a community that liked what I was doing, and I've stuck with it ever since. I've gone down many different avenues, many different paths with my career, and it's been cool and really engaging to see how much people have enjoyed it. And yeah, I always tell people I don't know how long I'm going to have the career I have. It's the internet and the music space in general, the music industry can be
Mhm.
a little uncertain, a little bit like shifting sands, but I'm very happy to have it right now and be where I am right now. And I'm just trying to do right with the influence that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and you talk about all the streets that you've been on. The street you're on right now is kind of Christian rock. You've worked with
Yes.
Lacey Sturm and Trevor from Thousand Foot Crutch, and
Yep.
you see Howard Benson's name on these recordings too. A very well-known, respected rock and roll producer.
Right.
How'd you get
Right.
involved with all these folks?
Yeah. So the avenue right now, and just a little history for me. I grew up in Alabama. I grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. Both my parents Christian, both went to a Methodist church, and we grew up in that environment. And we very much was I'm so blessed and fortunate for the surrounding and the environment I had, because I have been able to carry that out throughout my life, the teachings and the love that I've learned, and being able to find a church here in DFW and speak into that's been so precious to me. And it's really meant a lot now that I've moved into this space in particular. Some of my favorite bands growing up are the bands that I'm actually getting to sing with: Flyleaf, Thousand Foot Crutch, Switchfoot, Reliant K, FFH, Michael W. Smith, Stephen Curtis Chapman. I could just reel them off if I needed to. And this space in particular is one that I've wanted to be in for a while. It's just the music that I was writing, because I also do write original music, obviously. That it was spiritual, because I am very much a Christian person. But the space that I'm in, where I often work with people, are people who do not believe what I believe, and oftentimes have a lot of animosity towards people who believe what I believe. So it's a space where I'm very sensitive, I'm very aware of, I'm very gentle in the space that I am currently in often. But with CCM music, it's very impassioned, it's deliberate, it's bold. And that's an opportunity for me to write music that leans into that. And not only as a means of letting people know about what I believe, but it's allowing for people who are Christians, who do believe, brothers and sisters, to be encouraged through this kind of music directly and deliberately. So it's really exciting to get to write this music. And then not only that, but to get to perform it with some of my favorite artists that I grew up with. I'm just trying to stay humble and also not lose my mind at the same time, because it's just like, oh, wow, my child brain never would have even imagined when I was, 13 and onward, being in this position. It's wild.
Yeah, you've got kind of the Broadway sounds on there, some anime sounds, and then you somehow get to rock and roll. Did you ease some of these fans into the heavier sound, or did you just come in there one day and be like, look, I got some new stuff for you?
You know what's funny too is a lot of the music that I've done over my career for covers. A lot of it has been reimagining people's favorite songs from Japanese animated television shows with their openings, which are already a little more rock skewed, to Disney songs that we've reimagined in a metal style, in a sort of a lighter metal. It's funny. I tell people it's funny being in YouTube and doing a lot of reimagining of songs in a metal style, a metal arrangement. But I myself am a very big metalhead. And I am I've stopped being a purist. I'm in my 30s. I'm not trying to gatekeep, but like I listen to Metallica, Megadeth, Nevermore, uh, Slayer, Slipknot. So I'm a very big metalhead. So I know when I come in and I'm like, this is the metal version of Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. I know it's not the metal that metalheads are thinking about, but for everybody else, it's a version of metal, and it's heavier music. It hits harder. The production's loud. It's bombastic. There's lots of cool technical like sound effects that we use in our music now for metal music. It sort of coincides. So yeah, they've been eased in a way, but in a lot of respects, the part of what got my career really going was the reimagining of these more pop-oriented, soft Broadway songs in a harder, heavier rock sheen, if you will. So, yeah, that's we've eased it in slowly, but they've been ready. They're primed for it.
Are you the one that's actually composing these metal arrangements and stuff, or are you just the vocals? You have a team behind you helping you with that part of it?
As it relates to the covers, not the original music, because the
Yeah, yeah.
original music, I'm largely involved in a lot of the writing, majority of the writing. And then there are certain songs in which we have like, we'll probably get to Unparalyzed at some point. But a lot of times I do work with people working on certain songs. As it relates to the covers I do have a hand in the arrangement of these songs. But I work with an incredible team of instrumentalists, of producers, engineers, and mixers that all have very similar visions. We're all very aligned. And after, 8+ years of doing this professionally, air quotes for anyone not watching, professionally, we're really on the same page and we work like a well-oiled machine. And I trust them so much. And it's a very kismet relationship that we're able to do a lot of give and take and push and pull. So I would not be anything if not for the team of people that I work with. I could go and learn all the things if need be, but honestly, I trust their judgment at this point. And they've not let me down. I've not let them down. And the judge and jury team working on the CCM music is just so robust, and their experience is close to a century, a combined century's worth of experience. And I'm not going to step in my 30 plus years of living. I'm often going to defer to their judgment on a lot of things because they know best, strictly based upon, if not their knowledge, which is obvious, the seniority that is there. It's just hard to like, yeah, you please, whatever you think is best. I also agree, but yeah.
Yeah, you've been very consistent with releasing the singles over these years, but
Mhm.
these past couple months, a little different. You've been putting out some EPs, couple EPs that you've put out. What's the plan the rest of the year? We going back to the single route, or is there a possible album number 2 in your future?
Well, I don't know about you, Brandon, but I am old school.
Yeah.
I loved the route of you get two singles for a record, maybe, and then you drop the whole thing. And
Mhm.
then maybe as the life cycle of the album proves itself to be like, oh, people really like it, then you release one more to kind of revitalize. But it's a different landscape. I'm learning now. It's a different landscape. So sometimes you'll release three, four, five, and sometimes you'll just release singles endlessly and never release an album. It's just singles.
Mhm.
Um, what I would love for the rest of the year to look like is working and moving towards, which we have plans for. The label and I have talked. We are trying to get the album completed. We want the album done. We have another set of 5, 6 songs that are written. They're not recorded, but they are written. The lyrics are done. The melodies are done. The composition's done. It's just about arrangement at this point. And I would love for that album to see the light of day come year's end, but it wouldn't shock me if we push it around and move it because the collaboration with Lacey Sturm, the collaboration with Manifest, Trevor McNeven, these are all things that kind of cropped up as the writing of this second album was happening. And the opportunity was so great and exciting. It's one that we didn't want to really pass up on.
Yeah.
So we consider that and it's like, well, that can work into the album. And then when you're working with these great artists that have their own signature sounds, you start composing for the artists and what are they wanting the songs to be that they're attached to on. Trevor hasn't sung on a track in a long time. So
Mhm.
we're trying to think of what song works best with his voice, his style, his delivery, and the words that we're saying. Is it going to be something that we both agree on that we can, tell everybody as brothers? So I would love to have an album out ASAP. I would have loved to have had the second album out yesterday, truly. But I would never trade in the opportunities that we've been able to get with all of the collaborators we worked with to get the album out faster. But it is coming. I'd rather it be this year. If not, it should be like early 2025. That's what I would hope. That's what I'm fighting for.
Yeah, with all these wide ranges of projects you've been a part of, I'm sure this makes live shows kind of interesting. I saw on your socials here recently you had your promo for a live show, and I'm guessing you didn't get to play your rock music there based on the font and some of the content that was in that promo. Are you going to get to play some of this rock stuff out on the road at some point?
Right. So in my job, my YouTube job, my YouTube career, I do all kinds of music from all different kinds of properties. And I go to these conventions. So for those who are listening who don't know, it's like think of like a Comic Con, something like that. And I perform these songs from these shows, these reimagined covers. It's sort of part of the whole ecosystem of fandom works, the careers that many people have. And I don't get an opportunity to perform a lot of the original music there, but I do try to find a spot, one or two within my set list, to at least perform my songs that I've written here with Judge and Jury for the second album. So, but we've had conversations about going on the road, doing some kind of tour with exclusively this music. I am not opposed to those ideas at all. We're definitely seeking them out. It's just a matter of timing and finding the right place for it and people who would want to bring someone like me on the road, because I almost certainly would be an opening featured act, because it would be something new for me, and it'd be an entirely brand new learning experience. But we have talked about it, and I really hope it happens. I would love to do a live show of all the music that we've been working on.
Yeah. For somebody watching this who keeps hearing us talk about these metal covers that you've done over the years, what's kind of the one or two songs you point people to that maybe have never seen your content?
Yes. So for the audience of CCM, I would say check out the Prince of Egypt covers, the DreamWorks movie Prince of Egypt. My buddy Jonathan Young and I, who's also part of the Judge and Jury label, my buddy Jonathan Young and I reimagined the soundtrack to Prince of Egypt in a more heavy metal rock orchestral arrangement, and it's very true to form of the original. It's this I'm very, very proud of the adaptation. We placed on the Billboard religious chart for that, actually, I think at 98. So it was very top 100 was very low, but we snuck in there. And I'm very, very proud. So I would suggest the whole album of Prince of Egypt. I would give that a listen. And all that's not, that's more than 2 songs. That's like 7 songs. So that'll be my suggestion. If you've never seen my stuff, just look up Caleb Hyles and look up Prince of Egypt, and you will see a whole list. Your favorite songs: Deliver Us, When You Believe, Playing with the Big Boys, Heaven's Eyes. They're all on there, and I'm super, super proud of them. So those are the things I would suggest to check out.
And as soon as you get done with that one, go listen to the new single with Trevor there, 1,000 Foot Crutch. Talk about that song a little bit, how that all came together, that song.
Yes. So bringing up Unparalyzed with Trevor McNeven of 1,000 Foot Crutch. That's one of those songs, and an opportunity came along, because when we finished Never Back Down, the previous single with Manifest, we were about to move on to writing the rest of the album and recording. But then this opportunity came up with Trevor McNeven, who was really interested in doing a song. And this song, Unparalyzed, specifically, is actually the initial brainchild, the melody, the chorus melody that you hear, and the title Unparalyzed is the brainchild of, I'm forgetting the last name, but Dustin of Starset. Mm-hmm. And this was a song that he was interested in, but Starset's gone in a very different direction now. And so he offered Trevor, he was playing Trevor the song, and said, I'm not sure what to do with this song. I really like the germ of the idea, but I don't know where to go. And then Trevor remembered that Judge and Jury, the label that I'm on, had a conversation with Trevor about working with me. So then Trevor asked us and said, hey, I think I might have just the right people, just the right artist who might want to take this song and make it their own. So that's how the germ of the idea started for Unparalyzed. And then once we got air quotes again, once we got in the studio and started working on the song, messing around with the composition and arrangement, the verses came together, the bridge came together, the theme of the song, the lyrics, the melodies all came together, the sound we wanted to go, the route we wanted to go with the sound. And then it didn't take very long to come together. The whole process, it was very fast and furious. It took about a month and a half. So it's crazy how quickly things can come together. And because the label and Trevor's people are all veterans, they hammered out all the details quite fast. And I needed to record quickly, and I needed to write quickly, because I have a 10-month-old daughter, and I am very busy in that regard. And I still have the YouTube stuff to keep up with. So whenever it got put in front of us and said, hey, we need stuff kind of ASAP, actually, because of everybody's previous engagements that they are eventually going to have to tend to. We need to get this out now or way later. So we made space for it, hammered out all the rest of Unparalyzed. And yeah, the product that you hear on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're at, that's the product of about a month and a half of just sprinting to complete the song. And we're both very, very proud of it. It's one of the coolest songs in my catalog, and I'm very proud to have my name on it and put my stamp on it.
That's awesome. For folks who may not know the name Howard Benson, you've probably heard his works. If you listen to any sort of secular rock and roll, Christian rock and roll, he's all over these radio rock songs. How do you get Howard involved in your songs there? How do you get in this picture?
Yeah. You asked that earlier, and then I derailed. That's very common with me. I was very fortunate. One of my buddies, and this has been the wonderful thing about YouTube, is you collaborate with so many different people and you learn from each other. And the 6 degrees of separation become really, really small to where 1 degree is. So Jonathan Young, a collaborator I work with, a great business partner, but actually an incredibly close friend now. worked with Howard Benson, got in contact with Howard Benson, made that connection. John and Howard knew each other. And when it came time to making this label, Judge and Jury, John had put my name out there as somebody that could really add some substance to the label with songwriting and vocals and what have you. And so they contacted me, asked me to come in and do some recording for some like test projects to see if I was a fit. They really liked what I brought to the table and signed me to an agreement. And now we're working on an album together. And it's been a journey. It's been a long two years or so of learning songwriting, working with other people directly for songwriting. Because overall, as it relates to original music, I've really answered to just me. I've never had to adapt to other people's input or rather a label's desires. And it's a healthy challenge for writing for me. So that's how the contact came about with Howard. And he's a great dude, very, very insightful, knows so much, sort of carries a weight when he speaks, right? It's like he doesn't speak too often, but when he speaks, the words he says hold great weight. So wise, a very wizened individual is what I would say about Howard. But I've been very grateful for the opportunity that Judge and Jury Howard has presented. And the whole team over there has been great. Joe, Neil, Grady, everybody's been phenomenal. I've been really happy with it.
Yeah, a little more of the behind the scenes industry stuff there. A lot of artists really look at radio play as something super important to them. Of course, with your dad being a DJ, you have even more behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
With the social numbers that you have, is radio even important to you right now, or do you kind of use the socials as your own radio station?
That's a great question. I also have a bachelor's degree in media studies. It was also formerly known as the radio, film, and television path, but it changed its name. A lot of people would say that radio is dead. That's the phrase, radio's dead and dying, but I do not believe that. Radio has just shifted. Radio is different now than what it was before. And frankly, it's just as important of an avenue as many other things I do, and maybe at least in particular with the demographic that is the music that we're working on. I would say radio is extremely important. Because a lot of people that listen to this kind of music are very much still actively listening to radio, not just FM and AM broadcast, but they're listening to Sirius XM. They're listening to iHeartRadio. They have Pandora. There's all kinds of avenues that radio has moved into that are thriving. So it is adjacent to what I do, and they run parallel to each other. And it's not something I want to ignore. Now, the stuff I do on YouTube, a lot of the work and covers and the music I write for YouTube or intellectual properties, the demographic there is a much younger audience. So they're mostly on apps or social media applications, or they're using things like Spotify where you type in the name and you get the song immediately. So very individualistic kind of demographic. So that appeals more to that audience. But even in that regard, I don't ignore Pandora. I don't ignore iHeartRadio. My songs on there are still very much distributed to those online internet radio platforms. So I also, like you said, I had a father who worked in radio for 40 years. I also just have an affinity for radio. Growing up around it, surrounded in single CDs everywhere, upstairs all the time. I have stacks of them. So I'm never going to, I don't think I can ignore radio for my entire life because I just have a genuine personal investment and love of it from a family connection. But yeah, that's my breakdown thoughts on radio's involvement in my career, especially this route.
Yeah. So are we going to get another rock single here soon, or are we done for a little bit until like the album news kind of shifts some way?
If someone wants to come along, if another favorite childhood or even up and coming CCM artist, contemporary Christian artist wants to come along and work with me, we're listening. We have to see if it's a good fit, obviously, but we're listening. So yes, we're going to work on the album. That's the intention, to move forward, working on the album, getting that done. But if another opportunity comes along, I can't promise that we won't find something really special that we can make and powerful and would go that route for that time being. So who knows? I want to say yes, album time finally, but I just don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, and maybe like Lacey Sturm's kids will have seen you on YouTube, and when they see her name tied to you, they're like, "Mom, you got to take him out on tour with you. We want to hang out with this guy every day."
Hey, maybe. Listen, I'm not opposed to any of it. You know, we'll have a family trip. I'll bring my wife, I'll bring my two kids, having another kid coming in September. So we'll just bring them both and we'll have a great time. It'll be fun. If anyone's thinking about that, just hit me up. I'm down for it.
All right. Well, good catching up with you today, man.
Absolutely, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me.